Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Okay, we're going to continue this. Oh, need to pump up the volume, as it were. Well, the speed. Nah, that's just a little too fast, I think. Argentina, give them money for rare materials. No. And let's adjust these values down. Okay. Okay, direct fire unit training. That's very good. We're going to go through the 1938 text on all of these. Okay, we could use a bit more money. Let's see, how is Japan doing for money? They don't have enough, okay. They also do need supplies. Mania. Well, maybe we could sell them a few. No. Well, let's go with 16. Now, mobile unit command and control. I think we're still, yeah, we're still pumping that in. Made a few episodes in advance, a little bit more than I normally it's 2 to 3, a few more right now than what I've shown are released. Sort of the main reason I'm doing that is I'm sort of in sort of a bad place when it comes to Hearts of Iron 4. I can show you either the the 1.4 or the 1.41 as it is released, like I did briefly with the Czech mini series. That was really intended to be just a very mini series, and I don't know. By the time I release this, I may have already made up my mind and either made a couple more of those episodes or something. I'm not sure, but or do something else. But it's not really time to start a big series. Want to wait till Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4 releases. I know some of you, I'm saying this because some of you watch both games. I know some of you only watch one game or the other, but is wait till Black Ice releases a new version for it to play something there. So just I'm sort of in that zone of not having a lot of good options for Hearts of Iron 4 right now, which I want to keep this channel balanced to some degree between both. We're not stuck in the past of 3, though I've noticed a few other YouTubers bigger than I am been doing more 3 than before, because 4 has just been disappointing, and that's why I'm still playing this. Give them money for fuel. No. But even once Hearts of Iron 4 is doing better, I still want to play some 3 for some considerable time. It gives us a pretty decent, fairly mobile infantry corps for the moment. Okay. Oh, no, I was just starting to say, I remembered, and this is Well, you know, I know I said in the earlier one that playing the two games back and forth sort of made me forget about that I can build mines and that, so yeah. Gotta remember these things. Give them money for rare materials, no. Money for fuel, no. In 40,000, that's a huge stockpile of fuel. It won't last the whole war or anything, and once you really start to get everybody moving on the Eastern Front, that really sucks it up, but I don't need to buy any. Okay. Nav tactics, that's these. We're gonna jump over to nav strike tactics and fighter ground control advance, which I believe is the same. There. Let's shift down to ground attack tactics. I think I'm gonna wait for the return of the Von Kleist. I wonder if that's sort of that for build an armored core out of that, maybe. Okay, light cruiser escort will advance. Good. That's here. I want to keep at least something going here. So most of it's 39, so carrier crew training. Most we're gonna have was one of those. I mean, this is a nice thing, but I don't know that I'm ever gonna. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna. It's low priority. Unrestricted warfare, submarine warfare, and commerce defense much higher priorities. And then mentioning that, yeah, submarine crew training, that would be good. Italy, money for rare materials, okay. We've got enough, yeah. In Sweden, fuel, no. Yeah, pilot training, okay. Yeah, now that we're in 39, let's... Well... I don't know. Fighter focus and bomber targeting focus. That's just obviously we can research and pushes it, but that just do you try to do you try to attack bombers or attack fighters? Most it's not improvement of attacking either one of them. So I don't know how much that affects us. I sort of kind of think attacking the fighters first, and then once they're just defeated, then you take out the bombers, but I don't know. I know I'm just sitting here thinking, but well, we are just a few days away, so let's improve our engineering unit training. Okay, and I will put you on board ship, you on board ship. You on board, and say you here. Yes, just transit. I'll try to get down to some of the infantry divisions. There we go. East Prussia somewhat, well, much better garrison than it was. These guys should do well in these forests. And partially because the Poles, well, there are some armor units, but they're not likely to face them too much. Okay. Gun position, twin engine planes advance. Yeah. Okay. And direct fire unit. Combined arms has advanced. Okay, still everything in 38 year tech research. We've gotten a lot of our coal done, so 42. So let's. Okay, this will help. Okay, so it's just 14 energy there, 47 energy here. So these will have the biggest percentage increase for each one of these. So I think it's a, just don't know, I think it's a flat, percent increase for coal / energy in that province. 25, that's pretty big. I guess. Yeah, let's do those. Well, let's throw in one more. Let's throw in the 25 down here. Yeah. And push them up to the top. That's all good. Okay, let's see. I want to save this before the first of the year, because we're going to be making a bunch of change, or picking decisions. And if I hit the wrong button, I don't want to have to replay everything. Give them money for no, not Peru. Okay, artillery unit command and control. Artillery flexibility, that's a good one. That's this one, 36 technology. Command and control, but we're going to let these go for now. USA. Okay, how much money do we have? We are down too much there, but yeah. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Global game balance. So for 39, where hard attack is reduced and soft attack is reduced. Still don't totally understand what's the meaning behind this. Obviously, I don't know if it's meant to try to force peace, although you know, they had Albania, or I don't know. I don't really understand. And they probably said on the Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice forum. I just don't have the time to read the forum routinely enough to get all this stuff. Okay. Italy has annexed Albania, which is now part of their country. Great. I can't see in there just yet, but soon we will be. Okay. And as I knew, let's see. Annual espionage focus. Let's see. We've been doing economic spying, which used to be a whole lot of bonuses. Now it's just bonus intel. Okay, nice, but we really don't need to care about what other people are doing production wise. I'm not producing more fighters just because I know Britain is. Good player would do that. I guess I'm just not a good player. But efficiency is what I normally was looking for. But let's do ruling party support, because that can help us get high popularity. And we want to do yeah, economics again this year, because this 15% is really good. And yes, we want Königsberg, Schweinfurt. Okay. I want to quickly go look at those places. This is Schweinfurt. Okay. And we've maxed out what Dresden. I said Dresden. Sorry, Germans. I thought I knew where it was. Oh, back here. Okay. Yeah, we're maxed out there. And Königsberg up here. I knew that one. Okay, just making sure we're maxed out on these as we increase that. And we want to continue to do the long-term benefits. I want to get some more of those national effects going on. And we want to... Okay, well... Okay. Did we put them on the map? It'd be nice if they did. Oh yeah. Here, who's up here? It's been a while since I've been playing. This is like I should. Okay, that would be... Did I hit no? thought there should be one unattached somewhere. More in the production line. That's, oh well, maybe I hit the wrong thing. Oh well. Oh good, we've got high popularity again. Very well maybe because we chose the political spying. That could have already helped out. No, let's go with this one. Elections in Reich, Sudetenland, 1938 December. Obviously, we pushed through the Czechoslovakia thing early for this central part, but it did take them a while to get. It was September, October, something like that is when they really did the Sudetenland, like close to when we did it. But so I've developed this a little bit further for Hearts of Iron 4. But because they did a major campaign for election campaign for this, so this will reduce dissent, getting everything organized up. And let's see, we're still at 60-40. What sort of effects for 39? Well, I don't care about revolt risk. Do care about money right now. Let's gamble on that. Because we've gone up to high popularity, we've got more, and we want to come over and do this one that I said was so good. Yes. National recruiting policy. Okay, the FW Condors for Luftwaffe. This is a different but very similar to event before that was going to take the Ju-52. So we gain 2 dissent and get some Condors, or not. What time is it? No, I just don't think they're worth it. We're going to let them fly. Give them money for rare materials. Okay, yes, Bulgaria, we want you in the Axis. And let's see. Herr Sturm Pioneer Battalion 627 motorized basically. From the 26th August 1939, the battalion was officially a field unit. It was used in 1939 in Poland, the Poland campaign. It was used also in the 1940 French campaign, took part in the invasion of Russia. In 1942, the battalion was deployed to the Caucasus by the 1st Panzer Army. Okay, form the battalion, no need. We're going to take it, it looks free. Something else may have a cost involved, but okay. Damage forts at the Sudetenland defense. The forts at the Sudetenland took great damage when Germany annexed Czechoslovakia and were almost entirely destroyed. The few still remaining in dire need of repair before they can be used for defensive warfare again. Okay, mentioning that, again, talked about my friend and contributor George 1941. He's involved with, I'm not exactly sure in detail how, but with a Czech group that had been restoring and maintaining a few of the existing bunkers to, you know, their wartime conditions. So, you know, bring off the history and maintain that, which I think is great. I would love to tour some of those. I've been to Europe. Europe, I mean the continent, not Britain. Been to Britain a lot more, but I've been to the continent 3 times. Once was with a sort of, one of the coach tours, but never really looked at the World War II. Like, I would love to go look at like some of the Normandy as well as some of the other German coastal defenses, the Maginot and West Wall defenses, if there's any of those up in the Czech. Those would be, I haven't done enough World War II tourism, but I'd love to do some more of that. That would be great. Okay, so no need to repair. They're useless now, so mostly lose level 4 to 4 levels of pillbox. Okay, a lot of bunch of stuff. Okay, and that's these. So we would still remain, the fortress levels would still remain. So, but they would be weakened, obviously. Or we can keep the forts. But what does... I think this will... this is... It's a newer picture than I remember. Nice one. I think there will be a benefit at some point. So we're going to get rid of them. Like fortress guns or something. So, because if we're doing so bad and we're setting up the Czech redoubt, that's, like I say, the game ain't going so well. Okay, the third Weller, do you want to mobilize the third wave HQs? Yes, I guess these are just HQs. Are these in the product? Yeah. Oh, we want to put you up top. You're cool. So that's a cool unit. Now here, I think. Yeah. Okay. Where are they? Oh, they're all here. Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. Well, that would have been a big choke on the system, putting all of those divisions into my production queue. Well, we've got enough HQs to last a while. Cool. So just gotta remember not to build any HQs with infantry divisions for a long time to come. Okay, good. Okay, well, since it's sort of paused anyways, and, well, not much, but I want to buy more steel from the US. We're building some more steel. Oh, they're running a deficit. They're selling us lots of steel, but okay, well, they're not going to sell us any more steel. Let's see, Poland? No. Sweden? Yeah, no. Turkey? Okay, we'll do Soviet Union. That's too much, okay. Let's go down to just 30. I don't think any of our steel plants have been completed yet, so that isn't increasing, and I want to get that up big time, so let's do another country as well. Looks like a lot of people need steel. They've done the appropriate rebalancing for all this stuff. Belgium should be a big steel exporter. The US should never be without steel. Maybe under some big effects, I don't know. I know we're buying a lot already from them, but yeah, okay, well. Okay, direct fire unit command and control advance, that's great. We still, everything in 38, yep. Okay, Jozef Beck, he is the Polish foreign minister, comes to Berchtesgaden, meets with Hitler, that's one of the foreign ministry guys. He wants a non-aggression pact for 25 years. I don't think we give him that. Yeah, we, to do that, let's see. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. Okay. Hitler gets Time Man of the Year. Now, of course, just so everybody knows, Man of the Year in Time doesn't mean you're a good guy. Time Man of the Year means that you're the man of the year who affected the world the most, as sort of as they do it. It's to a point it's become a joke nowadays. I know I've sort of teased earlier that, you know, Time is really a meaningless magazine, and it really is. It used to have a real effect. And I think when they finally put the nail in the coffin of Man of the Year was when they put a reflective cover on it, and then it's you, the people of the world are the Man of the Year. Not that, because I mean that's just a cop-out kind of thing and a sales. Well, I mean obviously it's a scale. All this is a sales gimmick. But if you can't come up with some person that was most influential in the year as an individual, and then, yeah, there might be 5 or 6 people that you could, all vie for, but you don't necessarily make the right choice, but you make a choice, and so it's become meaningless. But this helps our public relations in the U.S. Oh, I thought this was interesting. This is NS Funk, which Funk is German for radio, and that's National Socialist is what the NS stands for, so that's National Socialist Radio. And this is 2 magazine covers. They were, it was just like a black and white magazine, so it would be done cheaply in this day. And I thought it was sort of an interesting juxtaposition between the 2 covers of the magazine. One, of course, is, parading SA men, and these, to my knowledge, because I can blow them up and look at them, but I timed this, and they were like 1938 or whatever issue, or 39, I mean, issues or something are right around here. And this is obviously a Valentine's, I presume, Day type thing. So one is, heavy National Socialist SA men marching around, and the other is pretty girls wearing hearts, just sort of different sales technique, and shows variety where it's only the picture, the little, everything else is the same. So I don't know, I'm just exploring the media good. Accepted that will help us going on in Germany at the time. And oh yeah, at some point I want to do France, I want to do Britain. Similarly, I bookmark it bookmarked it and saved a couple of images, though I don't know if there's anything useful on it. Mikhail, one of the viewers, or occasional viewers, I've been twittering back and forth with him. He tweets out a lot of really good historical images from World War II, and I've saved a bunch of those, and having him help me get a few Russian ministers and sort of trying to get color images and little descriptions of what they did, because yes, I know I can go in and look at Hearts of Iron 3 and look at their ministers, or even 4, but I'm sort of trying to want to get a paragraph or 3 about them to try to make a judgment on them as to what sort of unique traits that they might have, as opposed to just backroom backstabber or compassionate gentleman, trying to do something more interesting than just that. And he's Russian and lives in Russia, and he commented, hope this is nothing too much, that they think that some of the stuff, because he was looking at some of the English language Wikipedia pages versus the Russian language, that some of the information isn't there in the Russian, where normally when I do that for like German stuff, a lot more pictures in the American Wikipedia page, because the German Wikipedia page keeps pictures away, much more so because of swastikas in them. But normally the text is longer. I mean, it doesn't always that way, but normally the text is longer in the German Wikipedia page, which because I'm not anywhere competent at German, copy paste into Google Translate just to see what more they're talking about. But he thinks that some of that's being censored in Russia now. And then similarly, I saw an article about a Moscow museum that's dedicated, like a private museum. I mean, public can go to it, but it's not a government museum. It's this guy, or group of people that have of the resistance to the communists. It's sort of an anti-communist museum that's preserving the history. Part of it, I saw that I wish they would publish. And I know I've said this before. If you want to get your country's story out there, if you are Lithuanian, if you're Estonian, if you're Russian, if you're obviously Australian, you already are in English. But you want to get your history out into the rest of the world, you get it out in English. You may know all about your own country in Bulgaria, and there may be a ton of books published, maybe, I don't know, on history of Bulgaria in Bulgarian. But a Swede, unless he's a super high-level Bulgarian expert, is not going to read about Bulgaria in Bulgarian. He's going to read about it in either Swedish or in English. That's just the way the world works now. So get your stuff out onto into English, and also get it out into digital forms, because like I'm collecting stuff, and I'm sure there's many people out there that will make copies of the stuff. And so I'm thinking, because you saw some pictures in the background of lots of anti-communist Russians. They look like really nice paintings and things like that. And from the uniforms I was seeing, they looked like from the Russian Civil War, as well as from World War II, some of the collaborationist units. This article was talking about how in Russia now they're making a very big deal about the Great Patriotic War as a big sort of pro-nationalist type movement, and putting that together. And so, which is sort of interesting. Obviously, they're not playing up Stalin, from my understanding of the situation, and they're not trying to convert Russia back to communist. So they're not trying to do that part of it. But we're all in this together. We're all the Great Patriotic War, the sacrifices, and all this. So this museum deals with a lot of the villains to the Great Patriotic War, the collaborators who fought the Bolsheviks. And sometimes they were, like Ukrainians or Latvians or Estonians fighting for national reasons against Russians, and sometimes they were Russians who just hated Stalin. Sometimes, of course, they were, anti-Bolsheviks that joined up. And some were just opportunists. They thought, oh, Germany's going to win. When Germany was doing well, let's get on the winning side. So I'm sure there's all that, and it's a tangled history. So the museum is facing a bit of problems, which is a museum I would love to tour around. But I'd love to have good images of all their stuff they have on the walls and such that look good. They also had a lot of some of the stuff I'm thinking about looked at, and just none of it were photographed well enough. And I could just tell that I presume they were real, as opposed to modern copies. I don't know, but of like recruiting posters for collaborationist units. I could tell by the pictures. I couldn't read the Cyrillic writing, but I could tell by the pictures and whatever, they were joining up for anti-communist type units and things like that. And so I'd love to get some of the hands on that for the mods. But so it just when I get to these other nations, I'm going to be doing all kinds of visual images like the NS Funk. I just thought that was interesting. Okay, I think this may be it here. In January 1939, the role of the SA officially established as a training school for the armed forces in the establishment of the SA Wehrmannschaften, SA military units. Many of the SA men needed to be transferred to all the branches of the Wehrmacht. This will make the army here more politically reliable. This will not mean the reduction in the numbers of units, but the effective strength of the units is reduced because of the many remaining men are over 45 years old or have other important jobs and will not be active full-time. Now, I don't have all the details on all of this, and this is just sort of broad statement, but one of the records I've got saved was an SA man from, I don't know, somewhere in here, I forget what city or something, that he had, and then he transferred to Warsaw, and this was after the German occupation, and he was in 20-somethings, looked healthy, and he was a member of the SA, as an active member of the SA, to my understanding, as opposed to, there are SA reserve units, like there's a SS reserve units. Now, I forget the details as I'm saying this, but there were just a regular SA Sturmbahn in Warsaw was formed, and it was open to only Germans. This wasn't trying to recruit local Poles, but he was transferred out there. And he, through the war, because they also had it, he was a worker in a arms factory located in Warsaw. There was a bunch of Polish arms manufacturings. They picked up some of them, disassembled the factories and moved some of them to Germany and got them working again inside Germany. Some of them stayed in Warsaw, and they continued working using Polish labor, I think primarily, but they had management staff and other technical specialists that were Germans running it. They weren't letting the Poles, oh, make some machine guns, make 4, deliver 3, hide the other one, kind of thing. Now they were, carefully checking it. Now, some of the manufacturing very well may have been, bullets, 9mm bullets, or, whatever it may be, because the 7.92 rifle caliber, because Poland used the same small arms caliber that Germany did, I think for various reasons. And potentially cooperation against the Soviets, but so whatever it was, and whatever factory, I forget, but he was there, and so he was young enough to be in the army, but he wasn't an over 45-year-old guy. He was, from his picture, in his, I think, early 20s or something, and probably said in the identity cards or whatever at the time. So he was there, and so he was an active member in a regular SA unit. also but he transferred from whatever unit he was in. I think it was Western Germany, to this other unit. I do believe, again, I don't have all the records, all the knowledge, and trust me, a lot of the books on the SA stop around the Rome Purge. I think, again, not sure, but from my research, I think when an SA man went into the army, he didn't leave the SA. He, just put his SA uniform away. I don't think he was taken off of the strength of the unit that he was from, because he's still from that. And I'm maybe to some degree making a distinction between whether they volunteer for regular service or drafted or whatever. The people that are presumably going to go into the army spend 2 or 4 years or 3 years or whatever the draft term is at this time in the army, leave the army as an active duty. Obviously you would be a reservist in the army and go back to being whatever else. But like this guy, a lot of these SA men have a day job. There are SA men that are full-time every day, all day long SA, and that's all they do. They get paid to be that. I think much of the SA does get a bit of a pay, but it's not enough to support yourself if you're just sort of functionally part-time to be, you have a day job. So I think, and this is part of some of the numbers. So what I don't trust is some of the numbers on the SA units that I did find were skewed, because I think a lot of the men were, drafted and active in the war, and were, so they were sort of on the books back home. You know what I'm saying. So there's that going on. A lot of these SA men who don't go into the army are protected jobs, like you're working in a Mercedes or factory or a tank factory or whatever it may be as your important job, or it could be your a steel mill worker, but you're still a member of the SA. So this is what I do, and we're going to see how this works. It should remove almost all of the SA units. I think, or these which we don't have a leader for, but some of the later added ones won't. For Austria and the Sudetenland, these should stay, I think, and to then be replaced by another. So let's see how this works. Okay, like I said, that stayed there, the Sudeten, and now we have the SA back. And so far it's working good. Okay, and here, notice now they're down at 900 men. I think they were, what, 3,000 before? I should have looked. But and so I've kept the exact same structure, because the structure did not change at this time, and it grew. And this is, so I'm sort of suspect, because it grew. There were new units added. Alsace-Lorraine, the territories that were once part of the German Empire, were brought into the Reich. SA units were formed there. Some SA units were formed in territories that were German enough in Poland that were brought in. Obviously something like Warsaw. I don't know how many people. There were German-speaking people living in Warsaw. They were a minority, and I think less than 1%. And they probably could sign up and become full German citizens. Obviously, they're like majority. At this time, there's SA units, and they fought in the Danzig situation. When fight Poland, there's obviously lots of SA units. So there's still SA units in foreign territories. There's also SA units operating up in Memel area and in Danzig, sometimes sort of illegally, locally. So the SA continues to grow, as in more Sturmbands and Ritterstandards and other elements are added to it. I've basically stopped with the Sudeten SA. Also another little tidbit about the Sudeten SA. Talked earlier about how a lot of them came from the Freikorps. Well, the Sudeten SA, because of their training, a brigade or more of them in strength, actively participated in the invasion of Poland. They were armed with, rifles and machine guns and that kind of stuff, where a lot of the other very few other SA units were. The reason I know this is there was a book published just after the Polish conquest by the SA unit with lots of photos of them going in. They saw very little fighting. They were mostly, because the German army did so well, I think they had a little trouble keeping up with some of the rapid advances, but they did military duties as part of the invasion, so there was active use. That's the only real large scale and brigade. As well as there was the SA operating up in here, in the Danzig area, but those are the sort of the two large-scale uses of the SA as a combat unit, until the Volkssturm, which they are just lumped in with the rest of the Volkssturm fighting in the various cities and whatnot as Germany's coming on. So that's sort of what I've done with the SA. These units still have fairly good political partisan repression, dissent repression, however you want to say it. But now that they're only 900 strong, they're pretty damn weak in fighting any battle. So you want to stack a bunch of them up to hold the west wall? Okay, you could do that. It'll work. But it better be something like that, or otherwise they're just going to collapse, because they're just militia quality troops. Oh, and I still want to do this and turn all of that off because I don't want them upgrading. But if you want them upgrading to get to the latest militia and other sort of techs that they do have the ability to go upgrade to, you can. It just, you don't want it, unless you're going to go to an early war, you don't want to do it before now, because if you've upgraded, you just lost all of that extra upgrading. Like, so I reminded everyone early on to do that. Now you might want to do it if you are thinking about a little more serious active use. But I'd rather keep this down, upgrades down. So just for your information, you can, obviously you can anytime, but now it would make some sense to upgrade the militia, but they're still just a well-organized militia, and they're militia quality troops. And I don't think there's nothing you can upgrade these to. And also notice we jumped, it was what, 900 and something, or high 800 and something. We're now up at 1200. You get, because I looked it up before for somebody who was questioning, knocks down the first big SA event, knocks it down by 400 manpower. When you get the replacement event, and you need it checks for a bunch of the stuff. So if you've disbanded the units and tried to flush the manpower back into your base, you won't get the second event. If you go in and look, it checks for, I don't know, 20% of the units are still existing. So if you disband some of them, it'll still work, but best just to leave them. And you get back 340. So you're only down 60 manpower, but you have all these decent anti-partisan type units that you can use internally or externally or however. And also we should notice in the text and the description, what was also going on at this time were was the various training programs for the Army that was being run by the SA, which is, I find, very odd, because the SA, is at best quasi-governmental at this point, versus being party political. But they're training the Army. Again, it's mostly just basic small arms and basic, light tactics, no heavy stuff. But they're part of the Army training program, or for training men for the Army. So that's what they're doing. So this is some of the research that I've done out of it, and it's the best I could do without reading German and going to German archives. There were one or two books that were in the $60+ range on them, that are mostly on uniforms, and I couldn't easily, and I sort of asked around a little bit, if there was a collector's shop in somewhere in Southern California near enough to me. The closest one I found was in San Francisco, I think it was, that had it in stock, because I wanted to thumb through the book before I spent the money. If it really covered the not just uniform details, but activity details past the sort of 36 and beyond, I probably would have bought one of the books. There are just a couple of books that existed, or that exist in English, that are made for uniform collectors. But without seeing what was inside them, I'm still thinking most of the book was pre-36, probably pre-34 in coverage of stuff going on. So I'm not gonna, without being able to thumb through the book to even see how well it covers the period, I'm not just gonna buy the thing. Okay, so that's sort of that. There's still more SA stuff coming, not lots, but there's still more. But that's sort of the big changeover, and that worked well. Okay, New Year diplomatic reception. This year's diplomatic reception was a full success. All diplomats were impressed by the new Reich Chancellery. This is just the big event here for the Reich Chancellery's completion and first big use to it. So we're going to take the tour, get benefit diplomatically with all these countries. And so that you saw the outside. This is the grand entrance hallway. That there, I believe, is this door here. So then you go through here, improves the relations with all those countries. So you go through that door into this big grand room, walk up, which is obviously this is that door, walk through there, again improves relations with these nations, and then through that door there, this is into the big Führer's office here, for to impress people. Hitler very rarely worked in that office. That was the room, office, whatever, where they did the field marshal baton ceremony after the fall of France, where they gave out a bunch of field marshal batons to List and Lieb and a bunch of other generals, and that. So it uses it as a formal setting, and I know I talked about this in the previous German series a lot. As soon as when Hindenburg was alive, Hitler went to the office, his chancellery office, basically 5 days a week. Not saying he worked, a full 8 hours every day, but he definitely had long days plotting and planning. But he used his office regularly, and he was regularly showing up at the office. Once Hindenburg dies, and he puts the presidency and the chancellorship together into one office, he stops showing up at the office. Just flat out stops, and only shows up for an occasion, like we want to browbeat the prime minister or president or whatever of Czechoslovakia into giving in. It's done at the chancellery. that's where it happened at, and or other sorts of things. It happens there. Otherwise, he is no longer going there. He doesn't live there. He doesn't go there on any routine basis. I'm not exactly sure as part of that he does have a residence involved with this, but he just doesn't. He does basically all of his all of the stuff out of the Berghof. Basically, Hitler moves to the Berghof and is there all the time now. And this is from by 35. Everything's being run out of the Berghof. He's there. Now he will continue to travel to to Munich for the 1920 putsch attempt, or no, 24 putsch attempt. Sorry, beer hall putsch commemorations. He'll go to, also to Nuremberg for the Nuremberg Festival, traveling all around all the time. So he's whether flying around Germany or taking trains around Germany or taking his cars around Germany. He's constantly on the move. And this isn't a I'm stopping being Chancellor. Hitler was, in a way, sort of certain laziness, but and it is definitely sort of a laziness, but he is still very active in trying to govern Germany, and part of it is by going out and visiting and moving around Germany. Part of it is having his ministers govern, and the Gauleiters and all these other people govern their parts of Germany. But he stops doing the sort of going to the office every day, and it just comes in. And most of his work days at the Berghof are fairly short in the number of hours. That's sort of the way he does it. So, and we gain some popularity for the NSDAP and improve relations with a bunch of other countries. So, as you can tell, all this fascinates me, is how these things change and go, and how it all works. Okay, recon unit communications. Okay, well, still in 38, so we're still going. We're pumping everything up to 39, and then we're going to abandon all of those and go research other techs. And probably pump up our officers, because we now have somewhere with all of those. Well, maybe it's the SA, I don't know, but also all those headquarters staffs, I think, really affected that. I have to go back and look at the tape, but all those there, I think, did. Okay, the Nanjing Massacre. This is sort of the standard event that covers it. We've already sort of had the Rab and Nanjing. Then I sort of covered it, obviously. So that, and we're no longer getting rare materials. Okay. And here, concert for all the Wehrmacht. The first concert broadcast by radio for the Wehrmacht soldiers, in the sense that this was a concert that was nationally live broadcast nationwide for the soldiers. So, lose some dissent. Earlier we saw a magazine, what is it, Schnelltrooper or whatever, that was the mobile unit magazine. This, I think, is a replacement to the previous magazine. if I remember correctly. They sort of changed the name, and it's now Panzertroops. Now this is really starting to more focus, obviously, in the Panzers and how that's operating, and recognizing that that is going to be the big sort of decision thing. It's no longer, oh, motorized and mobile, it's armored. And it's Guderian stuff. So, this, again, I don't think there was any sort of, secret, because I've never seen any secret or whatever, but it's a limited, I don't think it was for sale on the public newsstands. I think it was limited distribution to the army and appropriate people. And here's inside of it. You can see, and so this is still, early in 38, so it's not too heavily armored, but you can see the various advertisements for the different elements, articles on, motorcycles for recon, different army vehicles, anti-aircraft guns, whatnot. So more bonuses on that. And we just got a bunch of something. Okay, study for level 2 HQs. So finish that event, because it didn't reason it when you push it over by event here, armored HQs. Doesn't give that little sound and pause. So okay, well, we are now, of course, in 39, so let's go with that. And HQs for level 2. Yes. Good. Okay, well, we're going to take this opportunity to end this episode. I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos if you feel so inclined to do. It really does help, and I appreciate that. And of course, it really helps me even more. Posting comments, questions, suggestions, ideas. Hey, even though I'm, a few days ahead and I can't maybe immediately react to it, I do keep all of my saves, and as I told you, because I've had a few crashes, keep moving them to another folder is just sort of a reminder for you if you're keeping a maintenance thing of sticking older saves. So I can go back and play something from a particular time or look at it. I'm considering, seeing what happens at the, it would have to branch off, I think, from the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact. Or I can even do it and then, well, I'd make a save before that, but do a, because maybe I could dishonor the pact and immediately see what would because we're going to do it, and I've sort of been counseled that maybe in 38 we could do this, like now, or as soon as weather clears up in 38. But it's going to be much more difficult in later. But try a 1940s. I'm considering it. Once end Poland, move all of the armed forces that we have available. Obviously, leaving defend the West Wall, and try to see what it would be like to push into the Soviet Union. But that would be just more experimental as opposed to, well, if it works, I'm not saying I wouldn't continue the game from there, but that would be an interesting experiment. I'm considering that. But, so, not that I can't go back, but, or change too much by your suggestions, but I do still want the feedback. And the feedback also helps other players, because they come along and I get questions, and sometimes if you've, already sort of asked the same question, they can just read the comments. Okay, so thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.